Rick Santorum went on a radio show to announce support for a candidate in the Mississippi Republican primary. And first of all, he strongly hinted that he's going to run for president again. We already kind of knew that because he released a silly book, and no politician really does that unless it's right before a run. And by the way, nobody even buys these books, but they release them and then they run. It's just a thing that's become sort of a tradition in many cases. But he also explained what he thought or what he thinks is wrong with the Republican Party. He says, quote, "You look at our side and it's, you got to be quiet about this issue. You can't talk about this issue. You got to stay away from this issue. When you do that, you're not making the argument to the American people as to why you're right. And of course, you're going to lose on that issue if you never talk about it. That's the problem, is that we have a bunch of people who run in the Republican Party from the financial point of view who don't believe in the party platform and have been trying to cow us into walking away from it." So he was asked by the host, "Will you run in 2016? Will you carry the mantle of the conservative movement?" He responded, "Well, I'm in South Carolina today." Now, I don't know what that means. Maybe it was a brush off like, I'm just focused on being in South Carolina today. Or maybe it meant, why the fuck would I be in South Carolina if I wasn't going to run? Because what do they do before they run? They got to go around to all these different states and set up the infrastructure and and campaign there and all that stuff. And plus, continuing to do a media tour, that's one of the biggest signs. The book, again, is a big sign. So he may run again, which is fantastic for Secular Talk Radio, because he will give us plenty of gems, as he always does, things to mock endlessly together. But more importantly, look at the argument he just made. Yeah, Rick, the problem is that the Republicans aren't telling us enough of what they believe. Not that what they believe is abhorrent, and that we don't agree with it, and the American people are just not that into you. No, the problem is the Republicans are too silent and too nice. They're too nice. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. They should really be more aggressive. Oh, really? They should be more aggressive. So what? Having a record obstructionist Congress is not aggressive enough? Trying to repeal Obamacare 50 times, that's not aggressive enough? Shutting down the government to try to repeal a law that it would be impossible to repeal it because the Democrats control the Senate and it's President Obama's signature accomplishment. I'm, of course, talking about Obamacare. Oh, that's too nice. You're being too quiet. You really got to speak up about what you believe. Yeah, ask Todd Aiken about speaking up about what he believes. That's Mr. Legitimate Rape Boy. Ask Richard Murdoch about speaking up about what he believes. He's another guy who made an awkward rape comment or abortion comment where everybody said, whoa, you're way too extreme. Joe Walsh, another example. Alan West is a perfect example. Yeah, that's why, the world universally hates him now, because he was too quiet. He didn't tell us enough of what he believed. Look, we've gone over this a million times, man, but what Rick Santorum needs to get, what all these rabid conservatives need to understand is, America doesn't agree with you. 59% of the American people want gay marriage. They disagree with you. 58% of the American people want legalized marijuana. They disagree with you. Depending on how you ask the question for abortion, over 60% of the American people are pro-choice. They don't agree with you. The list goes on and on, where the American people go, look, you're a Christian theocrat. You're basically the American Taliban. Okay, we have no interest in you at all. We're very liberal on social issues. I argue we're very liberal economically, too. The American people might describe themselves as, moderate conservatives or center-right on economic issues. But just because they label themselves that way doesn't mean they actually know what the labels mean. And as I've demonstrated to you guys before, giving more specific numbers, more specific polling data, the American people actually are liberal across the board. So here's my advice to Rick Santorum. Oh, you think you need to be more aggressive and speak your mind more in order to get elected and to get people to like you? Please, Rick, do exactly that, so I can laugh the entire time as you get a grand total of negative 32 votes.